So okay, so I was here. I was at this point. We talk about viruses. We just from explaining about microbiological contaminants. We talked about physical contaminants, but these physical contaminants have no serious effect. We talk about microbiological contaminants, and the first type of microbiological contaminants or pathogen is called bacteria, which we already understood about what bacteria can do and its effect. We saw some pictures. Now we also have viruses. Now, viruses are the smallest microorganisms among the 4 main type of organisms that find themselves, or pathogens that find themselves in water. Because I talked about the first is bacteria, second virus, the third protozoa, the fourth hermits. These are the 4 main type of microorganisms or pathogens which are found in water. Anywhere you go, any water you go, you meet these 4. If there is one, or you meet 2 or 3 inside. So this is the second type of contaminants, microbiological contaminants, or call it pathogenic virus, or whatever you can call it. It's called virus. So the viruses actually, they don't actually, they cannot reproduce by themselves. So they must need a living thing or another human or animal to live in. And in water, they need actually, for example, to be able to stay in this particular type of system. Viruses are just like, okay, any kind of virus we know, HIV or the rest. But in water, this other kind of viruses, they cannot live in water, like HIV or maybe corona. You understand? They are kind of, they don't actually live in water. They cannot, the environment is not suitable. So, but there are specific viruses which are very, very convenient. In fact, they love water. I can say, let me use the word, they love water. So these 2 types of viruses which are found in water that you can see is hepatitis A and hepatitis E. I think some of you will be surprised, but don't be surprised. It's actually true, because from research conducted by WHO, I think the report from 2013, it says that every year there are an estimated 1.4 million cases of hepatitis A and 20 million cases of hepatitis E, leading to 57,000 deaths. Hepatitis E is found worldwide, but the prevalence is highly in the East and South Asia. But this is just a report to tell you about the effects of what's happened. So, but if you can understand something, is that hepatitis E is actually in a very, very complex. We know about B and C. B and C, you can get it from normal, maybe kissing or maybe some kind of stuff. But these 2, you can get it from water, like contaminated water, which has these viruses in. They can live in the water, and whenever you get this particular water, you drink it, automatically these viruses, they enter into your system and start causing serious problem, hepatitis A and E. So guys, watch out. This is a very serious case in water. Now we also have what we call the poliomyelitis. We know about this. All of us, they gave us polio vaccine when we were little. And why did they do that? Because they know that this particular virus actually is part of the water system. It's also a danger to somebody. So polio also can be transmitted in water or can infect water. And if you consume any water or maybe water source that's polluted by the polio virus, then you have polio. So, but we also know that polio has a vaccine, which is called polio vaccine, which you know. Please, I don't know if someone can close the mic. I don't know who's actually doing some stuff there. Okay, thank you. So we also have what we call rotavirus, which causes acute gastroenteritis, same like E. coli. All of these rotavirus and E. coli causes acute gastroenteritis. So you must know that it also is a virus which can pass from feces of humans or animal to man, this rotavirus. So you must also, you can research about it, but it affects cells of small intestine. Most of these acute gastroenteritis, you know about it, is mostly the small intestine and some of those things. So we have the next one. So for protozoa, we must know that these are also kind of microorganisms or pathogens that also live in water. They are parasitic, so they need a living host to survive. We must know about this. And the most acute uh, illnesses that are attached to protozoa infection in water is amoebiasis, cryptochloridiasis, and gardiasis. These are the three main ones you actually find. And for amoebiasis, actually amoebic dysentery, dysentery, you have a severe fever or chills or bloody diarrhea. All of those things are caused by this, and it's been detected even in the lab when you go to the hospital. You have an amoebic dysentery or don't maybe dysentery, and they have to test your stool, your feces, and then they give you your results. So this is also something which has caused, it actually affects 500 million people each year. This particular bacteria or maybe pathogen, like we said, protozoa in water. So now we also have this particular kind of stuff, which is very, very also serious, which is called cryptosporidiasis, which is caused by a particular protozoan called Cryptosporidium. This is a protozoa, not bacteria. Remember, we are done with bacteria, viruses. This is another serious pathogen called like under protozoa family. It's called, this one is found in water and also causes same kind of illnesses like amoebiasis, which is amoebic dysentery, which we also need to know that they affect your small intestine or causes you to have diarrhea and the rest, fever and the rest. So now we actually need to keep an eye on this particular protozoa, Cryptosporidium. Why do we need to keep an eye on it? Because when we're doing water treatment, this particular protozoa is very stubborn to be disinfected by chlorine. So this is why I say this is one of the most resistant pathogens that is difficult to be removed by filter, and it is resistant to chlorine disinfection. So all the water treatment experts, if you go to do your analysis, you must also make sure, if you are doing, make sure you check on this particular protozoa if it's present. So you said because this is why is this particular protozoa difficult to be able to be removed, or rather even by chlorine, which you know is the most effective disinfection technique for water, because this particular protozoa forms what we call cyst. It forms a covering, and this covering, it makes itself more powerful. It builds a shell, like a shield over its cells, and the particular chlorine activation cannot penetrate this wall. And so even if you put chlorine in water and this guy is there, forget about it. You're wasting your time. After the chlorine you put, and after the number of times they say you put, maybe 30 minutes after that, you want to drink, or you think everything is free, but this guy will still be there. So that is why I say most outbreak caused by poor operation or failure of water treatment and distribution system. This is the cause. So you see, if you don't have a good water filters, which can actually filter really good, and also don't even think about chlorine, because this guy will not be out. So you must have a very effective method of treatment. This is why you're going to be learning this course, water treatment system and technology. And you're going to see how you are going to remove this guy. But the most effective way is going to be the fact that if you use what we call UV method of treatment, this is why you are going to kill this guy. So for now, You just have to know. So we also have Gardia, and Gardiasis is also similar to some of the ones we know, abdominal pains and diarrhea. These are all of these protozoans found in it. And though we have hermits, and with hermits, the most important, which we know about guinea worm. I think this one, we have some issues like some little, how do I call it? Little worm. It's like a worm that comes out of people's leg. Yeah. Sorry, but I don't have the picture. But if you check the name, Dracocolaris, just check guinea worm online. You'll be able to know. So this is found in water also. It's a particular serious issue because this is the fourth type of pathogen found, which is called hermits. We have 4: bacteria, virus. We have hermits, and then we have protozoa. These are the 4 main type of pathogens found in water. So we have gone through all of it, and you can now understand that water alone contains a lot of things. So this is why we must be careful while we are talking and while we are drinking water, while we meet our community people, they don't know anything about it. And some of these illnesses affects a lot of people, and especially the old people. So we have here cholera, which you already said, and poliomyelitis. This is what it causes. It's very bad symptoms and syndromes. It's not easy. And this is blue baby syndrome, which we talked about. You look at this baby, it's like blue painted. So we have here a more complicated topic. I don't know if some of you guys know about what we call the F diagram of disease transmission, but probably this thing is not taught in maybe higher schools or something like that. I don't know, but it's mostly in the public health sector, which most people do. But this is the most effective system to understand how bacteria or virus or maybe any contaminant pathogens gets into us, the humans. So it's the F diagram that explains the route of transmission of pathogens into our system. So we're going to be learning this F diagram now. And what we need to know is that we can say that these pathogens leave the host through feces. So feces is the first contact, like feces is our poo or whatsoever, we call it poo, like for children. And this is the first contact, disease. Anybody infected by any of these pathogens carry this particular microorganisms which can affect us in their system. Probably, most of these particular pathogens, like I said, they mostly affect the small intestine or the intestines, and they are having activities there. And it's actually through your intestine where you eat. You have these actually issues with your stomach and the rest. These pathogens are there, maybe bacteria or whatsoever, and they are actually walking around it, and protozoa, they are doing their things. And you're going to the hospital, maybe from that point you're sick, you have to go to somewhere. And maybe, like we know in Africa, nobody cares, and you just go somewhere, you release yourself through a stream, from upstream, downstream, somebody is doing something, maybe washing plates or the rest. This is where all the problems start with cholera. This is where all the problems start with all the outbreaks you know about and the other diseases we will be seeing, how it gets to us. The names of the kind of disease we see when it comes to microbiological contaminants, it all leads to the F diagram. So the first thing we need to know is that whenever you actually get a particular disease by contamination from feces and it gets to your mouth, it's called a fecal oral infection. This is the first thing you need to know, fecal oral infection. And there are different types of fecal oral infection. We have foodborne infection, waterborne infection, and watershed infection. These are the 3 different kinds of fecal oral infection. So for foodborne is when you eat food or the kind of infection that is transmitted. If the bacteria is being transmitted from food, directly from food, which is contaminated, and you take this food and eat, then it's a foodborne infection. If it's waterborne, then it means that this particular bacteria or virus or protozoa or germs, it's part of the water system, and then you drink water which is contaminated with that particular pathogen. This is what we call waterborne infection. For watershed infection, it mostly affects you if you get involved into maybe a particular water and you have infection on your skin. And you can also do by preventing it from personal hygiene. For example, scabies and some of those kind of scratches, itches, you can take water and you bathe and you feel like your body is scratching. This is all water wash infection. Yeah. So these are the types of infection, like I said, which is called fecal oral infection. And we have here this F diagram, which is most complicated. You're going to see in the next slide. So, but what you need to know about the F diagram is that we call it F diagram because it has only mostly the F, the physics, fluids, fields, fingers, food, and flies. And in all of it, for physics, we talk about human excreta containing the pathogen, that is physics. For fluid, drinking water which is contaminated. Fuels, a contaminated soil or farmland or foods or whatsoever. Maybe somebody holding something which is eatable, and you from anywhere you go to your farmland or whatsoever, and you pick ground, you don't wash your hands. Somebody came there and defecated on that particular land. In Africa, it's common. People just go and then do it. You don't know what happened there. You just go and walk and come back or something like that, and it's contaminated. And then you have your fingers also. This is why fingers and hands are very important. Fingers which are contaminated with these pathogens. And we have food. If the food is not being covered, and then we have flies, which is also the main transporter of, infectious pathogen. Now, for food, obviously, we know that for food, if your food, you use maybe kind of not good water to prepare your food, or to wash some fruits, you want to eat maybe apple, you don't use good water to wash the apple. Obviously, if it's infected with Vibrio cholerae, bam, you are the first person to get cholera in that community. So this is why this F diagram is very important. So this is the F diagram which I'm talking about. And you can see here, you have here physics. Physics, we have fluids up, we have fingers, we have flies, we have fields, floods, food, and physics in the mouth again. Now, if you look at this particular system for this stuff, you will see primary barriers and secondary barriers, which we need to know. Oh, somebody says, "Can see the screen?" I don't know. Can you restart the screen? Sorry, try to send message now. So you can see that from fluids, fingers, flies, and this. From here, from this point to this point, these are primary barriers. Now, what are primary barriers? The primary barrier just simply means that you have to be able to, stop disease from actually getting to this point. And how do you need to do it? You need to do what we call sanitation. You need to also do what we call hygiene. So, for example, if this is the primary stage, the primary barrier, which means you need to build toilets, because from physics, you see that this fly will come there, and if you go open to like, for example, in the local communities, we also find open physics. Somebody just go and defecate in an open air. Now, fly comes there. Somebody accidentally, the fingers might get to the place, maybe by walking the field, like I explained. And also, this disease might also be part of runoff during rainfall and enter into water system, which is the fluid, as you see. Yeah, fluid. So the physics might get to this fluid due to maybe raining or whatsoever might infiltrate. And when rain falls or maybe water passes, it washes out this open physics that we see, it gets to our water system. This is how contamination starts. So for the barrier first, the first barrier, the most effective way to do the first barrier, the primary barrier, we call it the primary barrier, is to set up good toilet facilities, building of toilets, and also educating the population on that. And this is where we know stop open defecation, like in our communities. So this is the primary barrier. So somebody like you see floods, and this disease might get to flood, like I already explained, which is something similar. And then we have the field, somebody working in the field, because this thing is open disease. Now we get to the stage. What if this primary barrier has not been taken in our community, as the case is always, frequently occurring in our communities? We don't always have good sanitary facilities, no toilets, no good water source to be able to carry out washing of hands and the rest. And it keeps the fact that this guy already in the field is working and got in contact with this disease. Our water source has already been contaminated, which is fluid. Yeah, fluid. And our hands actually touch it, and then we expose ourselves. For example, this is disease. Flies comes to this disease, which is already open defecation. I'm trying to explain the F diagram. This is what you will actually need to understand to be on this, to get a full picture of water quality, how we can stop whatsoever, even with the little means of finances. So with the aspect of this fly is getting to this disease because it's open, this guy here working in the field can get in contact with this disease because it's open, because they have missed the primary barrier. They did not set the primary barrier, which is, I've told you the first two things, is by doing what? By building good sanitary facilities like toilets, building good water system for hand washing. And this community don't have all of these facilities. What happens? The particular pathogen has already crossed and entered into our water system, which is fluid, maybe through runoff and infiltration, maybe due to rainfall and the rest, it gets to it, or somebody which is contaminated and goes to a particular stream and defecate. Somebody having cholera, defecate somewhere and pass through some water system and penetrate our drinking water sources. This is where these things have already been contaminated. Fly picks up it and the rest. Now, this is secondary barrier. How do we need to stop? This is the case. This is the food we are seeing. We have food here. This is food. And, this guy here, if he does not have a good water system, or maybe water facilities in the community, he might just leave the field after contaminating himself with this disease, which is a contaminated disease from someone which is contaminated with cholera or the rest. He gets to eat his food without washing his hands, and it's often common. What happens? He's contaminated already. That is why you see the mouth here saying that disease entering to the mouth. In this diagram, you can see disease entering to the mouth. And also, we have the aspect of this fluid. These are water. Somebody already, this water is contaminated. What happens? We go to fetch water in our local water streams. We don't know that somebody has already maybe defecated, mess up the upstream, and then this upstream water passes through our main drinking water source in the community. What happens then? We are enjoying our life and we go to get water, for example, and we don't know what happened. And the guy who defecated is an infected someone. And we drink the water. We are already contaminated. This is how the road, like it's a particular road which affects the whole system. So this is how infection occurs, how we get sick from contamination or from pathogens, or you hear about cholera. This is the main diagram explaining everything that occurs. It reaches to the point where you get somebody, they say first cholera case in the community. This is the diagram. This is how it happens. I think it's understandable. So somebody, or for example, you have food. I'm sorry that I'm having issues with my mouse. So you have food, you have flies. This fly, for example, you don't cover food. Your food is being cooked, you leave it open. What happens? Fly gets this disease, which is an open defecation. Since we already feel the first primary barrier, what happens next? The flies get to this disease and comes to your food, contaminates it. Same thing. So this is how we have to understand about the F diagram. So it's more easier and you can ask some questions later on. And so you have the notes here, which will explain you what it means, and the secondary barrier, primary barrier, you have here fecal loss management, which is also something which you understand that you have to also do safe emptying of your toilet facilities. This is for primary barriers. So sometimes over few toilets might have some leakage, remember, and it might get to the field, which is maybe farmland besides. From this toilet, over a few toilets in our community, somebody like you have a toilet which is too like full and there's no way to do some sludge management, fecal sludge management, that is transportation, emptying of that toilet. It has breakage and leakages. That same toilet is full and it might have some cracks and it might still get to our water system. Anything possible can happen when it comes to contamination with water. You guys should understand this. Okay, so this other diagram, and then we talk about effective dose. Effective dose, it is actually what you need to know. After all the contamination, this is the level where the sickness begins. So this particular slide makes you to understand about what it means. Now you are already being infected. If both primary barrier has not been set and secondary barrier, like I said, for example, with secondary barrier, what do you need to do? If I can go back here, is by doing water treatment system. Yeah, so to stop this water which has already been contaminated, you have to put in water treatment system and technology here to filter the water, to treat the water, chlorine and all the rest. You need to cover your food. These are the solutions. Cover your food. And also for floods, you need to build what we call drainage system. This is the secondary barrier, build drainage system. So I talk about first primary barrier. So if first primary barrier is not applied, make sure that you apply secondary barrier to be able to stop cholera epidemic outbreak in our communities. I think we all understand the point. So we have primary barrier, secondary barrier. If you cannot do primary barrier, make sure you understand what it means by secondary barrier to stop it. Build a good water treatment system for your contaminated water, which you already know. And because there are no more toilets in your place, you understand that contamination can happen through water or through anybody. And also make sure you have good hygiene practice by washing your hands before eating, secondary barrier and the rest, and you will see that. Okay, so effective dose. So this is the minimum number of pathogens needed to make somebody sick. This is effective dose. And in effective dose, we must know that we count the number of pathogens or bacteria in water as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And for example, we need a particular type of number to make someone sick. For example, here we give an example. We said a high effective dose is defined as needing between 1 to 100 microorganisms to make somebody sick. A moderate effective dose means that 100 to 1,000, 10,000 microorganisms are needed to make someone sick. A low effective dose means that more than 10,000 microorganisms are needed to make somebody sick. So it means that if you're talking about low effective dose, it means that you need a lot of bacteria or maybe virus or some kind of stuff, like really too many colonies or number of these pathogens in your system before you get sick. So you might even have just, for example, 10, 20, 50, and you are not sick. It doesn't mean that you're not infected. So this is just about talking about the degree of contamination in your system. This is just about the whole idea. That's what's called effective dose. So I think probably effective dose is most important aspect if you need to know when you are doing community outreach to educate the community and to tell them about contamination of water and the rest. To make sure to tell them that the fact that they are not sick does not mean that they are not contaminated. In fact, does not mean that they are not being infected. They are being infected, but just that the level or the number of microorganisms in their system has not yet reached that point where it is called, game over for them, like really sick. So, but they are infected, so they must continue to keep washing of hands continuous and the rest. So we have multi-barrier approach. This is just talking about how to manage water systems to be able to put up the same barriers which I talked before, which is called the water safety plan. And this diagram explains it all. You talk about, you need to know your water catchment. What is the catchment? What is the water source? You need to know your water quality, which you need to carry it to the laboratory to know. To be able to protect your community, you must know all of these things. And you have control your treatment. Remember how you need to put your treatment system. What type of treatment system will you use? Sedimentation or the rest? You know, I think the course you learn about this. And we have, you protect your distribution. You must be able to follow this distribution system to make sure that there is no leakage before it gets to the consumer or to the community, to the people who are drinking. And also we have water quality testing for portability, which is more commonly just a simple topic like how we test water. For example, there are different type of ways of testing our water. We have by using portable test kits, by using observation. We can just look at the water. We can tell if the water is contaminated or not, which is going to be a practical skills which we are going to learn by using some forms, observation testing, and which is more effective. You can use it to be able to know whether you are going to test for the water for E. coli or maybe some kind of metals like mercury or the rest. So observation testing for water quality is also very important. It's actually the first stage, because if you don't know it, you go and spend a lot of money in the testing your community water or carrying out some research on the water quality testing, which is not necessary. So we have testing by what? Okay, so these are portable test kits. Yeah, we all know about some of these things. You test water, and for different, you can test for all of those parameters I said. We have testing by physical testing or physiochemical, chemical, and microbiological. So mobile laboratory testing, and then we have using commercial laboratories, which we all know about the setting of commercial laboratories and the rest. Mobile laboratory is actually done by putting, in cases of emergency situations, when you are working in an NGO, you actually have to need a mobile laboratory for water quality testing, specifically in a crisis regions and epidemic outbreak of cholera in specific regions. You need to run fast tests, and to run from community to community to do this thing, you need a mobile laboratory. So this is done in a vehicle, set up all the equipment in the vehicle, and you guys run up and you do it. And after setting up a project laboratory, which is standard, and commercial laboratory and project laboratory is almost the same. So not much of difference. Okay, I think that's that as fast as possible. So any questions? We have 4 minutes, and you can ask your questions, and more often you can see ask your questions in the WhatsApp group. There's no any questions. Let me stop sharing now. Good. I think I've been fast. Is there any question?
The laboratory, the portable. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to know, is the laboratory, the portable laboratory, easily accessible?
Yeah, a portable laboratory is just like you're carrying your briefcase. Like it's like a portable water test kit. It's like a briefcase. You have all the reagents to test for different types of parameters, like I explained, either physiochemical, microbiological, or parameters. So you take this along with you to the community. Yeah. Any
So
other
it means
question?
that you need some special training to manage it, or
Yes, you need special training. This is why we said there are some training which will be coming up, which we have to do some of these things. That is why this is just online. Yeah. So,
okay.
yeah, so we could do that. Is advanced training. So any question again?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hello.
I believe you have a record of this session
Yes.
because we've been able to cover a whole lot within a short period of time, and
Yeah,
well, actually, I appreciate you for your time and everything. So, but I would like, if it's possible, for you to share this record with us, and then if it's also possible for you to release the PowerPoint slides so that we can, go through it and then research more on that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, the slides will be made available, and that in Google, we send it to Google we'll send it to the Google Drive, all the records of the training, and we'll send the link to you guys into Google or maybe on WhatsApp, and you click the link, you'll find these records. That.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Good day, sir.
Yeah. Good day.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the wonderful presentation. I learned a lot. Also, I want to ask, particular to these viruses and pathogens you talked about, like, for example, I am involved in bore drilling and also geophysics. So, is there a particular depth at which you drill groundwater that can avoid these pathogens and viruses to run off into the groundwater? Like, I don't know if I've been taught that contamination can be prevented through depth
Yes.
drilling,
Yeah,
but
I know that.
I don't know if all
that.
these viruses are included.
I know that too. Okay, now your question is very simple and straight. Let me say this. With groundwater, we know it's the safest type of water for our drinking, which is calculated at that, because surface water is exposed to all type of, contamination routes. But still in groundwater, you might have infiltration. Never mind. And you're talking about the depth of the water, like if you drill really deep down, you can also be safe. This is why this course is important. Yeah, you can have 80% assurance that, yeah, you're drilling really deep, so you can escape from the other infiltration, maybe like safety tanks. You know what, talk about safety tanks, they are also being built on the ground, like in the ground. And you can have leakage of safety tank running off towards that direction which you're drilling, your drilling route is, and where you're pumping your water from. And you can still get contaminated. Why you think that it is